Now available in paperback and e-readers. Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. Now available in paperback and e-readers. John Haynes, 1987. Learn lessons about life and teenage love in the 1980s in this coming-of-age John Haynes story. Get your copy of John Haynes 1987 in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Over the last 26 years, there has been a disturbing trend among children and young adults becoming obsessed with mass shooters known as the Columbine Effect.
Mass murders, a strange fascination, and social media. In some cases, that's a recipe for disaster. Disturbing details emerging about the infatuation with killers on social media.
And in this News 5 original, Tracy Carlos reports the feds believe it played a role in a plot broken up just a couple of hours to our west.
One day changed everything.
It was the first of its magnitude.
These now infamous images seared into the fabric of American history.
One of them, a young woman, had 9 gunshot wounds to the chest.
I mean, it was everywhere all the time.
The Columbine killers, dressed all in black, walked into their Littleton, Colorado high school and committed mass murder. Years later, those crimes immortalized by some. Even websites seeking to pay tribute to the victims include pages of the shooters' notebooks. The FBI's investigative report is at your fingertips. The hope is to stop history from repeating itself.
They planned it for around April 20th, which is the original anniversary of Columbine.
Just months after Columbine, a violent plot stopped at Cleveland's South High School. For some, curiosity has become a dangerous obsession.
I know there's enough of them that we're concerned as an organization.
Disturbing pictures and hateful words written on countless forums, websites, and social media platforms glorifying the evil actions of the shooters. A careful balancing act between freedom of speech and threats to a community.
America is a free country. People can say what they want and think what they want. And as odd and as unusual as it may be to the average American that somebody would glorify the shooters at Columbine or in Charleston or unfortunately many of the other places, we're not the thought police. So we don't investigate anyone because they're part of a true crime community and they glorify these murderers. We do investigate when they transition from glorifying to conducting their own actions. So it is a fine line.
But the feds say that line was crossed in Toledo late last year.
We fail when there's an act as a law enforcement agency. So our goal is always to stop it before it happens, but we can't predict.
23-year-old Elizabeth Lacron and her 23-year-old boyfriend Vincent Armstrong were indicted by a federal grand jury on charges in connection with plotting to commit an upscale mass murder at a Toledo bar.
They actually traveled out to Columbine, that's also alleged in the complaint, to basically draw inspiration from that scene.
While the Toledo couple was at Columbine, police searched their Willow Run Drive home. The affidavit details they discovered an AK-47, a shotgun, handguns, ammunition, and end caps needed to make pipe bombs.
We decided to act when we did because we felt like it was getting to the point where we were not comfortable allowing it to continue on much longer. We had people who had both voiced a desire to engage in violence and had also acquired all of the means that they would need in order to follow through on that violence.
It is alleged the duo found support for their mass murder infatuation on social media.
It's very disturbing.
Jane Timmons Mitchell is a psychologist at Case Western Reserve University, specializing in youth suicide prevention and gun violence prevention.
In addition to the media attention and the social media component, the other active ingredient in why these things kind of feed on each other, unfortunately, is the rampant access that youth have to guns and ammunition.
The affidavit details the fascination Elizabeth Lacron had with another serial killer. She was a pen pal to the Charleston, South Carolina church shooter. Meantime, the FBI credits the public for tipping police off to the alleged plot. In Cleveland, Tracy Carlos, News 5.
Now, the Columbine Effect is the legacy and impact of the Columbine High School massacre on our society and our culture. Now, back in April 20th of 1999, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, dressed in black and wearing black trench coats, went on a mass shooting spree where they murdered 12 of their classmates and one of their teachers and injured 24 other people before taking their own lives. And this mass shooting had a major impact on the overall society and the culture due to the coverage it received in the mainstream media. And one of the reasons why this mass shooting received so much coverage in the mainstream media is because the two shooters were teenagers and white males, and with these two teenage white males being the shooters as related to this heinous crime, many people basically got to see lots of stories regarding this whole tragic incident because these were young white males who participated in this crime, and the mainstream media, basically with it being a youth culture, got caught up in all of this rhetoric, and sadly it became a major part of our society, unlike other mass shootings that had taken place over the course of the 1980s and 1990s, which were done by much older men. Now, the Columbine Effect basically had a major impact on our culture because it changed the way we basically had schools here in America and education here in America. Many schools instituted many security measures in order to try to find out if kids had to keep kids from having guns, like transparent backpacks, metal detectors, and even implemented school uniforms, and added more security guards, and also made kids wear IDs. This was what was done as a result of the Columbine school shooting and nationwide, because this was only done in local high schools like here in New York, in most places where you had a lot of kids who were involved with drugs and guns. But the Columbine shooting basically made it where things went national as a result of this violence, and changed the way we secure students in school, and it's changed the way we saw children in school, and it also had an impact on our overall culture and the way our children lived. It had an impact on the way our children lived because many kids basically developed a sense of anxiety as related to the early days of the shooting, fearing that a mass shooting would take place at their school. And as time has gone on, sadly, what has happened is that a lot of kids who are bullied basically have seen the killers of Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold not as the mass murderers they actually are, but see them as some sort of hero because they have been romanticized online by people who are a part of the true crime community on platforms like Reddit and independent websites. Now, these websites that feature a lot of misinformation look to sympathize with Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold and justify their motivations for participating in the mass shooting that took place in 1999, and they look to go out here and present misinformation to people online regarding these crimes. And sadly, what's been happening over the last 26 years is that a lot of children have been reading these websites, and as they have been reading these websites, these children basically are looking to make plans to either participate in a mass shooting of their own or wind up thinking of taking their own life, all based on the misinformation that has been presented online as part of the true crime community. Now, in the true crime community, again, people are looking to do things like the mainstream media did and looking to romanticize these killers, romanticize these killers as some sort of hero, and that's got many kids who are bullied seeing Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold as some sort of hero to inspire them to go out here and seek payback against individuals who have bullied them, who have harassed them, who have tormented them, and make those individuals pay. That is what many kids are believing that they can do from the misinformation that they receive on these websites that they go to in an effort to escape as related to the torment that they go through, whether it be in school in the real world or on social media online. What these kids do is they look to escape to a place that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis, called The Secret World. And sadly, as they go into the secret world, like Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold did, to express what they believe is their natural masculinity or their natural femininity or natural sexuality, because they feel, again, ashamed to express that behavior, they wind up, again, entering a secret place where they become disconnected from people, detached from people, and wind up learning antisocial behaviors and learning antisocial ideals from all of this misinformation, and use this as a motivation to go out here and do harm to others or be motivated to do harm to themselves. And this is what goes on with these kids who are bullied, and as they are bullied, again, look to lash out at the world because they have not learned how to be able to go out here and conflict resolve, not understanding that you don't have to stay in that place. This is something many kids don't understand about being bullied. You don't have to stay in that place, and you can take your power without ever doing harm to someone. Now, I myself was a kid who was bullied in junior high school and high school over issues over not having a girlfriend or not being the person that people wanted me to be. And I know from experience, you don't have to go to the extremes that the Columbine shooters went to, because the Columbine shooters, as they looked to escape the secret world, they were not heroes. No, they entered a world of white supremacy. They entered a world of racist rhetoric, and they bought into that racist rhetoric and used that to justify harming other people because they felt hurt and they felt justified in hurting other people. And that's what makes them monsters and not boys who grew up to become men of character, because a man of character or a boy of character is going to understand there is a way to take your power from a bully and take your power away from bullies by going out here and standing up for yourself. Now, what many of these kids who go online don't understand is you can take your power and stand up for yourself and stand up and take your respect without ever looking to do harm to another person or lay a hand to another person. No, you can take your power by taking your presence away. And taking your presence away basically is a way of taking your power because you are taking yourself away from toxic people who show that they have no respect for you. And if these people show they have no respect for you, then you can take your respect by taking yourself away from them and feel your value and again regain your value as a person. This is what many bullied kids like myself didn't know when I was 12 years old, that again, when people bully you, again, they don't have any power except what you give them. The only power that they have is what is given, what you give them, and you can take that power away from that person by, again, not hearing what they say, not believing what they say about you. And when you do that, you cut off the emotional hose that this person wants to attach to you in a codependent relationship, because oftentimes with a lot of bullies, they want to attach emotional hoses to you because they feel powerless about their own lives, and they want you to start reacting and feel worthless about yourself so that they can feel a sense of superiority. And again, this is how you take your power away from that person. You take that power away from that person by taking yourself away from them. And you may have to take yourself away from that person to the point where you change your school. You may have to change your school in order to get away from that person. That is your right as a citizen. And again, this is a right that you have as a kid, as related to your life, to take yourself away from toxic people. And you also have a right to go out here and walk away from other people by going out here. And if people are putting nasty things on your social media, blocking that individual, blocking that individual or unfriending that individual, because again, only a person can disrespect you with your consent. And again, when you're on social media, you have a right to again unfriend people who are being disrespectful, and you have a right to cut those people out of your life, because your presence is something that you need to value. And again, people can only disrespect you with your consent. And these are the ways that you can take your power as related to this whole situation of being bullied. And you can also again take your power by standing up for yourself. These are things that people can do again to solve the problem, because again, when it comes down to this whole Columbine effect, again, it's an effect because we are in a situation where kids are not being given solutions to the problem. Kids are not being given solutions to the problem, and as they go on this internet, what they're doing is imbibing a lot of misinformation. And as they imbibe all of this misinformation, they're thinking that Columbine and participating in that type of crime is going to solve their problems, but it's not going to solve anybody's problems. All it's going to do is maybe sate somebody's hurt feelings for a moment before they wind up again either going to prison or juvenile detention, or winding up again in a place where they take their own life. And again, this is the type of thing that again really we need parents to start looking at their kids, watching out for your children. You have to watch out for your children and again help them out, because again, you have kids sitting there, like I've said before in many videos, about them imbibing this misinformation. And this Columbine misinformation has set so many people to be motivated to be copycat mass shooters, whether it be a guy like a Peyton Gendron who participated in the Tops mass shooting, or people like Sung Hee Cho who basically participated in the Virginia Tech mass shooting, to again young kids again being arrested before they could commit a crime. Or even worse, when I read a Yahoo article about a 13-year-old girl, Audrey Hine, who basically wound up taking her own life because she bought into this misinformation that was presented online that romanticized these two sociopaths, because Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold were not heroes. No, they were sociopaths who basically had no regard for human life, because they were not about resolving the conflict as related to their bullying by walking away. No, they were about looking to, again, get back at people and looking to make them hurt as bad as they did. But that looking to hurt people is only going to never leads to you healing. That's something I know from personal experience, because I myself, again, had to deal with this type of bullying back in 1989. Again, had to deal with this kind of bullying, and basically, again, oftentimes wanted to, again, felt that kind of anger. But thank God I did go to God and ask him to change my life. And as he changed my life, I basically am thankful for him, again, taking me out of that toxic Park West High School to go to Taft High School. And then I started focusing on myself in that new environment, and focusing on changing my behavior, changing so that I would not be a magnet for bullying, a magnet for toxic individuals, and basically focusing on becoming the person I wanted to be. That's what I did as I prayed to God to change my life and took my personal power. As I took my personal power, I then used those tools to now create information to help kids who have been bullied, so that they don't wind up going out here believing they have to go to extreme levels of violence, and do harm to people because they believe they can go out here and get their revenge, when the best revenge is living. Well, the best revenge is going on and living the abundant life that Christ wants you to live. The best revenge is basically leaving these people in the rearview mirror and going on to live your life with people who will show you love, people who will care about you, be around positive people. be around positive people. You want to be around positive people and be around people who want to help you. I mean, that's what you want to be around. And again, if people don't respect you, you basically take your presence away from them. Take your presence away from them because you can do better than them. And the reason why I'm making this information is because I know there's so much misinformation out there that romanticizes all sorts of criminals, but emulating those criminals does not go out here and help you out. It's not something that can help you out as related to things. No, that misinformation basically is a lot of lies. Again, lies similar to what was told about Elliot Rodger, the La Isla Vista mass shooter, where you had males going out here saying that they were incels, again, looking to follow in the footsteps of Elliot Rodger. And again, this is why you have to be very careful if you're a parent about the media you expose your kids to. You have to be very careful about the media your kids are watching on this internet, because there's a lot of misinformation on this internet, and it can go out here and mislead your kids into thinking, again, violent white supremacist killers like the Columbine killers are heroes when they're villains, and believe that there's no other way except going to an extreme to deal with a bully, when there's a way of dealing with a bully. And again, dealing with bullies is taking your power away as related to a situation, taking your power away as related to life, and again, taking your power and again, empowering yourself so that you can go out here and be the person that God wants you to be. Now, if you want to learn how to overcome bullies, you can pick up my novels like John Haynes' 1987 and Spellbound to see how John Haynes and Matilda Crowley deal with both male and female bullies. And if you want to learn how to identify the behavior of someone who is starting to become antisocial, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target, just like you can find Spellbound and John Haynes' 1987 at those online booksellers. And if you want to see me make more videos hoping to help kids learn about how to overcome bullying, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Coming to paperback and e-readers, Esteem Season of the Witch Girl. The aspiring angel takes on a wicked teenage witch in this action-packed all-new Esteem series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Esteem Season of the Witch Girl at Amazon.com and other online booksellers. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.